Todos sabemos que Ares no está interesado en ninguna relación muy íntima.
When it came to her love life, Daniela kept encouraging Yoshi to tell Raquel how he really felt about her, but he didn't have the guts since she took him as her best friend, and he didn't want to ruin that. Raquel had very rich neighbors called the Hidalgos, and among them, she always crushed on a guy called Ares Hidalgo for years and did all the necessary research about him on her laptop, organizing everything about him in. One day, Ares Hidalgo happened to hack into her computer and changed her Wi-Fi password to share it with his little brother, Polo Hidalgo. Since they had a problem with theirs, he claimed that what he did hacking into her computer was a crime. He knew she would not report him anywhere because she had a crush on him, and to her advantage, his doing was how they started communicating after years of being neighbors without talking because she would otherwise instead secretly stalk his movements from a distance, especially during his football practices since he was on school football. One day as she was stalking him back home since they're neighbors, he used a shortcut that she didn't know and she got lost. But later on, he appeared behind her back and asked why she was following her. They had a small talk, which was a sort of an argument since S. Hidalgo wanted to know why she was following her, and at the same time writing about him on her laptop that he hacked into, and she was straightforward with him that she liked him. But she didn't just want him to use her, but rather fall for her as in like. When S. Hidalgo told her that she was not even her type, she promised him one thing, that she will be the most interesting girl in his life ever, and he thought she was joking. They later walked back home together on one condition he gave her, and she accepted because she didn't want to walk back home in the dark alone. And on top of it, it was one of the things she wanted from him. Just after Raquel had just had dinner with her mother, she found Ares in her room trying to switch back on the Wi-Fi. She had turned off, and when she told him that she could sue for breaking into her room using the window, he was like, he knew she would not do that because she liked him and yet he didn't like her at all. He sort of teased her as a distraction to run away from her room and left her hanging. The other thing he told her as he was leaving was to clean her room, and she was like, she studies all week and works on weekends unlike him. And the other thing was he never always addressed her by her name, but rather called her a witch. And when she asked him to stop calling her that, he was like, he won't until she does something about her hair. And this was how the Wi-Fi officially brought them together. A step to her dream guy. The following day, as compensation for the Wi-Fi, Ares followed her to her workplace and invited her to his big brother's club opening. She went there with Daniela, and she also got her revenge for teasing and leaving him hanging as he did to her. Her friend Daniela got herself a crush who happened to be Polo Hidalgo, Ares' little brother. Because Raquel had got a Polo drink, which he was not allowed to take at their home because of his age, she decided to take him to her place after he told her that she could not take him back to their home high, where Ares later went to pick him in the morning. But because it was dark and they could not go back to their place with the condition of Polo was in Raquel, and Ares decided to have a moment instead. When she told her best friend about it, Yoshi and Daniela, Yoshi was kind of jealous because of all the feelings he had for Raquel. And later on, when she got a new phone from Mary since his little brother had broken hers the previous night when he was drunk, she decided to take it back to him in person and tell him how she didn't want anything from him. When she went to their big mansion, she went to his gaming room where he was already expecting her. And guess what happened? She went in there tough like a rock but ended up surrendering and having an affair with Ares because he was the kind hard to resist in his territories. Even though she tried, her feelings for him took over, to her very big disappointment after sharing the moment they had for her first time ever in her life. Ares treated her like trash when he told her to get her things and leave immediately. She felt used, which was her biggest worry and reason. She played hard to get because she was scared that he would just use her and be dumped, which was what happened. Being that it was her first heartbreak from the love of her life, she didn't want anyone around her, even her mother. And for Ares, unlike how he always felt whenever he did this to other girls, this time round, he felt something different. She had left her necklace behind, so he asked her to pick it. She went back to their mansion wanting to know if he had feelings for her, but he was not ready to love anyone because of what his parents did to each other, cheating on each other since the father was busy most of the time, and it was her friends who helped her to go through it. Even though he sort of tried to move on, he had somehow started developing feelings for her, but he didn't want to accept it though. Fate kept on bringing them together since they were close neighbors because of the differences in class between the Hidalgos and Raquel. Ares' father didn't want him to have anything to do with Raquel, telling him that women were distractions, and the one thing they were to focus on was their education from the best of class schools to take over their father's business. He worked so hard for this pissed him off because his father wanted him to do economics, and yet he wanted to be a doctor. So he went and got a job at the same place where Raquel was serving French. And he told her that if his parents won't support his dream of being a doctor, he will do it himself if necessary, no matter the kind of job he will need to do to support his education. And the first job he was given was to collect garbage. One day he happened to take her to his family party, and his parents decided to ignore her because she was not in their class at all. And to make matters worse, her mother, who was in catering, was working on this very party and thought otherwise, that the reasoners invited her over was to humiliate her. Yet he was not aware that it was her mother in charge of catering. She felt small. She asked him if he really loved her, but he didn't have the answer to it, so she left in tears. She even started avoiding him at the French fries work, and when he saw no reason to work there anymore since she was his main reason to work there, he decided to leave. But he first apologized to her for the previous instance and asked her if she will dance with him at their prom party, and she was like, she won't be there and she won't need him to be there. Aries then decided to go and do as his father wanted them to do for the good of his company by going to America to study economics, even though he wanted to be a doctor. But then Raquel's mother changed everything when she gave her the strength not to give up on something she loved most, just like Raquel's father did with his writing before his death, simply because he was very afraid to publish it, thinking it was not good enough. Because of this, she went and tried to fight for his love, but she was refused from seeing him. Later on, she hoped he would go for her at the prom party, but he didn't show up. And just when she had given up to go with Yoshi as her boyfriend, Aries had shown up at the party, but then got into a misunderstanding with Yoshi and fell into the pool with chlorine water he was allergic to. When Yoshi told Raquel about this before he even completed his statement, when she had the word pool, she immediately ran to go save Harry. Even though this was a very big tragedy because Aries was in a coma for days, it brought the Hidalgos and Raquel's family together, as his parents had no choice but to roll with the punches because they were in fear of losing their son. In the end, they decided to support his dream of becoming a doctor. Thanks to Raquel, if it's really what he wanted, they got him the best medical university in the world. This was how their love grew stronger. And if you have come this far, thanks for watching, and consider subscribing now.